Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our Teacher Paraeducator Registered Apprenticeship webinar. Um, just a few things to mention before we jump in to the webinar. Um, you're going to have a lot of questions, but we ask that you submit your questions into the meeting chat. After this webinar, we're going to take all of those questions, complete a question and answer. Um, this webinar recording and the slideshow and post it to the IWD TPRA webpage here in a few days. So in this webinar, we're going to cover the components of the program, specifically going over that registered apprenticeship overview. We're going to talk about the grant piece of it. Um, And then at the very end of the webinar, we're going to have some application guidance, specifically reviewing a video for iowagrants.gov and going through just little components of that grant application. Um, okay, so just a few IWD introductions for your grant and your registered apprenticeship supports. I'm Ashley Vise, I'm the program coordinator. My job is I'm the primary point of contact for the TPRA program. I provide program support, and then I also complete parts of the grant compliance monitoring. Patrick Rice, he's our grants administrator. He assists with the grant application process, provides iowagrants.gov support, funds management, and then also is responsible for those contracts and addendums kind of throughout the program. Then we also have our registered apprenticeship team, the registered apprenticeship program coordinators. They assist with program building, database assistance, and then also registered apprenticeship compliance reviews. The TPRA 2.0 grant application opened on Friday, November 1st, so the application period is open currently, deadline being December 2nd. So we'll accept grant applications until 2 p.m. on December 2nd. And as I mentioned, we're going to cover that iowagrants.gov piece of it towards the end of the webinar, but this is where you will find the grant application and we'll complete that grant application. So the purpose for this award, it allows Iowa Workforce Development to grant award funding to support Iowa community school districts in developing new K through 12 teacher and paraeducator registered apprenticeship programs. This is to address the negative impact of learning loss related to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and to address teacher and paraeducator shortages across the state. Our source of funding comes from the American Rescue Plan, coronavirus, state, and local fiscal recovery funds. It's also supplemented by the state of Iowa. Iowa Workforce Development's program authority to award these funds can be found in the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And the award type is a beneficiary program that will directly benefit awarded districts. So eligibility, who's eligible to apply for this grant? It would be Iowa Public School Districts, applying as a standalone district, serving as a sponsoring district. Sponsoring districts may also form a consortium with up to 4 partner districts with a maximum of 5 per consortium. District partners will need to enter into a letter of commitment with the sponsoring district. And the sponsoring district must enter into an agreement with one accredited two-year community college for teacher aid pathway and or one accredited four-year college or university for the K through 12 pathway, which we'll discuss in a little more detail. Um, Also, prior to submission of the grant application, applicants must register with sam.gov, and they will also need to maintain an active registration throughout the grant award period. Ineligible districts would be, or I guess ineligible applicants would be Iowa school districts that are awardees or partner districts within a consortium that are currently participating in TPRA are ineligible for this award. Funding priority will be given to Iowa public school districts that demonstrate a significant need for additional paraeducators and certified teachers, as well as districts who submit documentation of a high percentage of free and reduced lunch participation. So if any of these funding priorities apply to your district, then we ask that you submit documentation demonstrating that. The Teacher Paraeducator Registered Apprenticeship is a registered apprenticeship program, so I just wanted to cover some of the main components of RA, especially if you're brand new to registered apprenticeships or maybe you've had some experience with them. Um, just to give you an idea of what a registered apprenticeship program entails. Registered apprenticeships are industry-led. They're high-quality career pathways where employers can develop and prepare their future workforce. They are industry vetted and approved and validated by the U.S. Department of Labor or a state apprenticeship agency like the Iowa Office of Apprenticeship. And registered apprenticeships create access to larger talent pools of workers that have been trained for entry level to management positions, thereby meeting industry demands and reducing unemployment rates across the country. So, one thing to know is that RA programs, they are industry-led and they are developed by employers. On the individual apprentice side, apprentices can obtain paid work experience, receive progressive wage increases, classroom instruction, and a portable, nationally recognized credential. So I've mentioned some of those components of registered apprenticeships. Here are the 7 components again. So again, it's industry-led, employer-driven, building pathways for your workforce. It's a paid job. It fosters diversity. You have quality and safety assurance through those state apprenticeship agencies, and then also Department of Labor. There's on-the-job learning, related instruction, and then earning nationally recognized credentials. It's a really great way to upskill your current workforce. For this program, you're upskilling your paraeducators with the goal of becoming licensed teachers. A common question that we get for TPRA is, okay, love this program, sounds great. What exactly will I do? From a district standpoint. Um, if you apply and you're awarded grant funds, to give you an idea of what your TPRA program could look like, you'll determine if you're going to apply as a single sponsoring district or consortium, as we mentioned in the previous slide. You'll select your program pathways. We're going to talk about that on the next slide. You'll select your related training instruction provider, sign that memorandum of understanding, complete and submit your application. If awarded, you'll recruit your apprentices through your current district employees who are interested and eligible. You'll also recruit and assign mentors. Sometimes under registered apprenticeships, we think of journey workers. So for TPRA, those journey workers are your mentors, your licensed educators in the classroom. You'll work with an apprenticeship program coordinator to design your program standards. Some components of those program standards include developing the on-the-job learning competencies, a wage progression schedule, and then also that related training instruction. You'll build your program structure. How are you going to implement the program in your district? If you form a consortium with four other districts, how are you going to work with those partner districts to implement this program? You'll register apprentices. You'll need to track your performance measures and then complete grant reporting. The TPRA program has two apprenticeship pathways. The first pathway is a teacher aide program, which is an estimated 2 years competency based. Eligible candidates need to be at least 18 years old and employed within the district as a paraeducator or an associate. In this pathway, candidates can earn the paraeducator certification and also credit towards an associate's degree. In the K through 12 teacher pathway, this is an estimated 3 years competency-based apprenticeship program. Eligible candidates must be at minimum 18 years old and employed within the district as a paraeducator or an associate. They cannot be employed as a substitute teacher or a long-term substitute teacher. They must have a minimum of an associate's degree or a bachelor's. That bachelor's degree cannot be in education or instruction. So if you have an apprentice with a bachelor's degree, we will need to review that degree prior to approval for registering that pathway. In the K through 12 teacher pathway, apprentices earn credit towards a bachelor's in education, towards the Iowa teacher licensure, and then additional endorsements. So prior to submitting your application, as noted on the eligibility slide, awardees must enter into a memorandum of understanding with one community college for the teacher aide pathway and or a 4-year college or university for the K through 12 teacher pathway. So you could potentially have up to 2 total related training instructors providing that RTI component of the registered apprenticeship. So as you're deciding either as a sponsoring district or your sponsoring district in communication with your partner districts, you will want to decide, are you going to offer both pathways or are you going to offer one? Really kind of depends on the need of your districts. Selected related training instruction providers will serve all districts within a consortium. Those partner districts must also have an MOU agreement with the RTI provider. And Iowa RTI providers with online coursework options are highly encouraged. This promotes access to this program. So something to keep in mind as you're reviewing your options. A little more on the related training instruction piece. So during that program development, after you've selected your RTI provider, you're going to work with that provider to build your standards and then also that curriculum. Something to note is that any related training instruction, it must be reviewed and approved by the Iowa Department of Education, the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners, and the Iowa Office of Apprenticeship. So just something to keep in mind. Here's a list of all of our RTI providers from TPRA 1.0. I will also post a handout with this list on our website, just so you can either review these providers as you're kind of researching and figuring out which one to use. But another thing to note is you are not required to use any of these providers. Awardees will need to show organizational capacity to track these performance measures. So you're going to build a program that will track current wages for your apprentice, including those anticipated wage increases. You will also need to track the number of registered apprentices who are enrolled from an underrepresented population, who are earning a credential, who are earning an endorsement, and then those who are completing their apprenticeship programs. You also want to figure out how you're going to track each apprentice's on-the-job learning competencies and their progress, their hours of related training instruction, and then also tracking mentor assignment. So to flip over to the grant piece of things, that was just kind of the program structure and the registered apprenticeship. And now we're going to review that kind of the funding piece of it. So award amounts are based on the number of anticipated apprentices and the amount of funding that is available. Um, so for paraeducators, the maximum award amount per apprentice over 4 semesters is $32,800 or $8,200 per semester per apprentice. For the K through 12 teacher pathway, there is a maximum award amount of $38,000 per apprentice over 4 semesters or $9,500 per semester per apprentice. Any unutilized funding may be used to increase program participation, but it cannot be used to increase the maximum apprentice award amounts. And there is no state or federal match requirement or cost sharing. So for the use of funds, this program, as mentioned, is the funding model is a beneficiary model. As the NOFO states, the intended use of funds is to be used for tuition, books, and fees, and also employee wages. With the beneficiary model, you receive that flat reimbursement rate. So it kind of provides some flexibility for districts to decide how they want to utilize those funds to create a great program for their apprentices, and then also how they're going to, invest in the program itself. So, for example, in our first iteration of TPRA, you have some programs that decide we're only going to use our grant funds for tuition. That is what we have decided is the most important thing. So that's what they use their funds for that program. Other programs decided, we really need to incentivize our current classroom teachers to be mentors. So they decided to offer mentor stipends. And then there are other programs who decided, we don't have a lot of resources to really manage this grant and implement this program effectively. So we decided to contract out to a grant management team or some grant administrator, and they're going to use those funds to pay an administrative fee. So what is nice is with that beneficiary model, you are able to make those funds work for your program. The performance period for this grant is February 15th of 2025. It runs through June 30th of 2026. And then you'll see below the reporting and financial periods. And so these are based by semester. And then you'll notice the due dates. We'll talk about grant reporting requirements here in a second. Um, But one thing that we want to make sure that we highlight is that requirements for the registered apprenticeship program may extend beyond the period of performance for this award. So expenses incurred with continued participation after June 30th will be the responsibility of the district. Um, Again, it's those estimated program timelines, either 2 to 3 years. Um, so just something to keep in mind. So our grant reporting requirements, districts will submit at the end of each semester a progress report for their active apprentices for that grant performance period. So we will give you a semester report template. It has two tabs. That first tab is a cover page. It gives us a big picture of where your program is at during that performance period. It helps us know how many teacher aide apprentices have completed their pathways, how many K through 12 teacher apprentices have completed their pathways, who's receiving an endorsement. Also helps us know how many active apprentices you currently have for that performance period. The second tab provides more detail in terms of your individual apprentices. It's going to show us the Rapids ID number, which pathway they're enrolled in, and what their status is. That status is important because we're looking for any of those changes that may have happened or occurred within that performance period. So we'll know if the apprentice is still enrolled, if an apprentice has dropped or canceled, and then also if an apprentice has completed and which date they completed. The second part of this is the financial reimbursement request. So in addition to that semester report, awardees will submit a financial reimbursement request. And with that request, they will submit an employment verification and a related training instruction enrollment letter. Um, so that employment verification is going to detail the apprentice's job title and their hourly wage. And then that RTI enrollment letter is going to verify the apprentice's enrollment and completed credits during that performance period. So one thing to note is that with that enrollment letter, we're looking for those completed credits, not just what classes or what credits they are enrolled in. So for an apprentice to be considered eligible for reimbursement, they must be enrolled in at least 4 credit hours per semester. So here's our scoring criteria. As you kind of take back this webinar and the information and you're working through your application, just a couple things I wanted to highlight in the NOFO. If you scroll down to the bottom of that document, there is an Appendix A. And I encourage you to use this when you're completing your grant application. It provides a little bit more instruction and detail on how to complete that application. But here's the criteria that those applications will be scored on. It's based upon your project service area, your project need, and the demonstration of how you will address that need through your registered apprenticeship program, the design and sustainability of your program, how you're going to track, what's your plan for tracking those performance measures, your organizational capability, who is going to implement the program, who's going to be the main point of contact, who's going to be your fiscal agent. So outlining that program structure, and then also your budget. Applicants can earn up to 6 additional points if they prove or submit documentation showing proof for those funding priorities. So if going back, it would be demonstrating a significant need, so your open positions and or your near future openings, and then also your percentage for free and reduced lunch participation. So if you submit documentation of those two things, they will be reviewed for this priority, and you could potentially earn up to 6 additional points. So you submit your application. Here's kind of what the next step looks like. There is a review and selection process. There's a review team that is selected by Iowa Workforce Development. They're going to use that scoring criteria. to review the applications. During this time, some applicants may receive requests to provide clarifying information. That just allows the scoring team to make funding recommendations. Um, and even if the scoring team doesn't reach out for clarification, your application can still be recommended for funding. On the other side, even if you receive a clarification, it does not guarantee a grant award. And so then after that, there's the selection for funding. Applicants may be selected to enter into a grant agreement, finalize your grant terms, work on your scope of work and your budget. And then again, have to note that submission of an application or budget does not guarantee an award or a full award. On Appendix B of the NOFO document, lists the instructions for accessing iowagrants.gov to complete your grant application. We're going to watch a 4-minute video that covers the login process, and then Patrick is going to give us, kind of take us through what actually accessing iowagrants.gov, going through the application, kind of navigating the website looks like.
Welcome. This is a short tutorial on how to access Iowa Grants. First, go ahead and navigate to iowagrants.gov. Once you get to iowagrants.gov, go ahead and click on the blue button that states click here to access the single sign-on tool. Now, at this time, I just want to give you a friendly reminder, do not use the box enter your user ID and password or the yellow button that says click here to register. Please ignore those two items on this page. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to access my single sign-on tool. Now you have accessed the single sign-on page. Now, if you do not have an account, go ahead and click sign up at the bottom. Notice where it says do not have an account, click sign up. Go ahead and click sign up. Go ahead and enter your first name. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a trainer account today. And enter in your last name. Go ahead and put in an email address. This could be any email address, the email address that you have access to. So I'm going to go ahead and put a trainer account in here. A valid email address. So once you have the first name, last name, and email in the appropriate boxes, go ahead and click sign up. Now this following screen will not appear for most of you. However, some of you may realize or may not realize that you have currently an id.iowa.gov account already set up using some of our other state of Iowa applications. How will you know if you have an account set up? You would get an error message much like this. It says a user with this email already exists. So if you receive this error, no worries. Go back and click on already have an account. Go ahead and use that same email address that you just typed in and click next. And then you would be asked to enter in your password and continue on to the dashboard. If for some reason you might have forgotten your password or maybe unable to log in, you can go ahead and click forgot password in the password page, or you can go back to sign in, and if you need to unlock your account, you could go ahead and do so. Now we're going to go continue on for those that do not have an email address in the id.iowa.gov and continue on with that process. Now you are asked to set up security methods. There is no wrong way to set this up, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the recommended way. Go ahead and select the option password. Go ahead and click set up underneath password. Now you'll notice there are some password requirements. Go ahead and make sure you review those password requirements and go ahead and enter a password and then re-enter a password. Once you've entered a password and re-enter password, go ahead and click next. Now you are doing the next step, which is to verify your email. This is where you're going to navigate to your current email box, look for an email from id.gov, and you will go ahead and find a verification code. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm currently in my current email system, which is Gmail, but this would work for any email system. You would get an email from admin@id.iowa.gov. Once you open that email, you will see a one-time code. You could quickly just copy that code or memorize it and go ahead and go back to the screen that you currently were on and enter in that code. I'm going to go ahead and navigate back to the id.gov and go ahead and enter that code and click verify. If for some reason you didn't get it, go ahead and click send again if you want to have it be sent to your inbox. You might want to check your spam or other folders within your inbox, but it should come in directly to your email. I'm going to go ahead and click verify. Now this page is to set up additional security methods. Now what this is just to give you one more additional security method to identify who you are. We strongly encourage maybe to check out setup phone. If you choose to, that's the most common one. You're used to these multi-factor authentication, especially in financial institutions. So again, just add an extra set of layer of security if you choose to. You could choose phone if you want. The other one that we recommend is Okta Verify. But again, not required, but maybe strongly encouraged. Again, I'm going to go ahead and click Set Up Later, and then I will be currently signed into Iowa Grants. Now this page will vary per user. This is an example of a brand new user to Iowa Grants. They will be asked to complete the registration portion, which is this particular page. However, some of you will fall under the bucket of actually already having an Iowa Grants account, and you will be prompted to a brand new page, which will get you directly where you need to go. Before I end this video, I strongly encourage you to check out the resources below in the description to learn more on how to get signed into Iowa Grants. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen, and then we can start walking through the Iowa Grants process. So here we go. Okay. Hopefully everyone is seeing a screen that has a calendar on it at the moment. All right. And I did notice that there were a couple questions in the chat that we could quickly answer. Oh, the first one I noticed was do we have an estimated dollar amount for the total dollar amount for this award? At this point, no. That award amount, the total dollar award amount available has not been stated or publicized. So we don't have a total dollar amount available at this time. Another question I saw is, are we going to be requiring students to fill out the FAFSA? Um, Under TPRA 1.0, which some of you may be familiar or at least have heard of, we did not make that a requirement for apprentices to complete the FAFSA, although it is always encouraged to do that because that is something that if they qualify for those funds, we would rather use those funds before we use the TPRA funds. Again, it allows the dollars to go a little stretch the dollars a little bit further. So that is something that you may consider as a district to require your apprentices to do. But under TPRA 1.0, we did not require that. And then there was another question about can districts choose one pathway or do they have to do both? Real quickly, it is up to you. You don't have to do both of the pathways. Districts can choose one pathway or the other, or to do both. So just wanted to quickly highlight those three questions that I saw before we got started. So. Okay, so once you have logged into the Iowa Grant System, if you've never done this before, again, my name is Patrick. I'm the grants administrator for this award, and I'll be helping navigate the Iowa Grant System through the initial portion of this award. So if you've never logged on to the system before, you will need to create an account through that video that we just saw. And then once you log into the system for the first time, this is what you will see. So you can see that your name will appear in the upper left-hand corner, and you may see a homepage of a calendar, or it may just be this Iowa Grants bar, the navy blue bar at the top. So your home screen might look a little bit different. But basically, what you're going to want to do is navigate on the left-hand side on the ribbon, navigate to funding opportunities. And once you select funding opportunities, you're going to see every posted funding opportunity with the state. So anything that says test, you won't see, but anything that is marked green where it says posted, those are the ones that you will see. This opportunity is through Iowa Workforce Development, and that is workforce development is towards the bottom of the page because it's all done alphabetically. So you can see that we have a couple different workforce development opportunities posted in Iowa Grants right now. The one that you are going to be looking for is Grant Funding Opportunity 560894. Under the apprenticeship category, and it's called the Teacher Paraeducator Registered Apprenticeship Program 2.0. So you can do the Control F feature and type in apprenticeship. You can do the Control F feature and type in 560894 if you want to remember that number. Or you can just scroll to the bottom because workforce development is towards the bottom of the alphabet. So once you found the grant opportunity that you're wanting to apply for, you just go ahead and select that option. So select that opportunity, and you will come to the first screen you'll come to is a summary of the notice of funding opportunity. So this information is just the general information about the grant. You can see that same number 560894 is the grant number. You can see the title is the TPRA program number 2.0, and you can see the final application date of December 2nd, 2024 at 2 p.m. The grant will close at 2 p.m. So if you are in the system and you're trying to submit your application and it changes to 2:01, then the grant opportunity will close. So you do want to be sure that you are paying attention to that 2 o'clock time frame. The summary of the notice of funding opportunity is just highlighted below in the description. So this is not the full notice of funding opportunity. It's not the full NOFO, but it is some highlighted sections in this area. So you can see the purpose, the funding priorities, the performance measures. You can see estimated award amounts, that 32,800 for the para pathway that Ashley highlighted earlier, or the 38,000 for the teacher pathway. You can see the reporting periods and what we're labeling as semesters. And so it does have some information here as a summary, but again, it is not the full notice of funding opportunity. It does talk about the eligibility of applicants with the consortium of up to those 5 districts. And it does talk a little bit about additional considerations that you might just want to read into just to make sure that the applicants that you're selecting would be eligible apprentices. The main thing at the bottom of the summary is that there are 3 attachments. So there is a blank W-9, which will be required for you to submit a W-9 as part of your application. It has the full notice of funding opportunities. So this is the full PDF. So it's about 18 pages long or so. So I would suggest downloading this document as a PDF and saving it. And then you also have the budget Excel document, so the budget form Excel document. This is another required document to be submitted with your application. So again, the 3 attachments located at the bottom of the summary of the NOFO is the blank W-9, the full notice of funding opportunity, and the budget form. The W-9 and the budget form are both required to be submitted. Okay. After you read the summary and you've downloaded these documents and you want to start applying, you can just scroll back to the top and you can select the green button on the right-hand side that says Start New Application. When you select the Start New Application option, basically you're going to be typing in your name, the name of your application, the name of your organization, and that's basically about it. You're just starting the process. If that's as far as you can get, just hit save, and then the next time you come into the system, you will see your saved application listed at the top here. So you can see that I've already started my application under the organization of our farm. And so if I'm going to go back into it, I'm going to go and select that application, and it's going to open up where I left off the last time. You can see that I did not get very far. I didn't even get to the minority impact statement, so now I can start completing my application again. If I want to start editing my application, you select the green Edit Application button on the upper right-hand corner, and that'll allow me to open up the various sections of the application itself. So general information, you can see that it's already checkmarked as complete. That is just the title page and who I am. So that's a very, very short section. Basically, as soon as you create an application, that section is going to be completed. If I wanted to go into the minority impact statement, I can select that option, and it'll open up just a couple questions that I have to respond to. Again, I'm going to select Edit Form, which is the green button on the right-hand side. It's going to open up this form to allow me to answer these questions. I can select yes or no buttons. I add my information, and then I click Save Form. When I click Save Form, it'll then highlight the information that I've already saved. I can mark it as complete if I want to, or I can go on to the next section. What I would want to do to move to the next section is I can go to my app list, and my app list will take me back to that those 6 different sections kind of nicely laid out in a linear form if I want to. And so I've already done my minority impact statement. So now I'm going to go to my cover sheets, my cover sheet information. My cover sheet information is going to be where I enter basically my contact information and specific information about my organization. So you can see I'm going to be adding my address, email, my fiscal officer, my fiscal agent person, the congressional area that I belong to, just to give some more contact information. Again, you will want to select Edit Form in order to add this information. And then once you're done, click Save and then mark as complete if it's complete. Okay. Now to move to the next section, I can go back to my app list, or I can just move to these through these tabs at the top. So you can see my minority impact statement is the section that we just completed. We're on the cover sheet. The next section is executive summary. So again, I could go back to my app list, or I can go just through the tabs at the top. So the next section is the summary, executive summary risk assessment. So now you can see, and it's nice to have those tabs highlighted at top here again. I'm now in my executive summary section. I'm going to select Edit Form to allow me to start editing the application. And then once I'm completed with this area, I would select Save Form and then mark as complete if it was completed. Now you can see in the executive summary, it's a large text box. If you want to expand this, just go to the bottom right-hand corner where it changes to the 2 arrows and click and drag, hold and drag, and you can make that text box larger. You'll also see that there is a character limit option at the bottom as well. So that way it can kind of keep track of where you are. This again is done by character count and not by word count. So just be mindful of that. You'll notice in the application sections itself, it's like 25,000 characters. It's not 25,000 words. We're not asking you to type a 5-page document or anything. Those are character counts. Um, Again, we have the prior grant assessment questionnaire. These are yes or no questions asking you for some past grant experience, conflict of interest information. Again, those large text box you can drag and expand if you would like. And every time that you are finished with a section, or if you need to close out of the system and it's not quite done, make sure you select Save Form before you close it so you can go back into this section where you left off. Okay, I'm going to click my back button. It says Leave Site. Your changes may not be saved. That's cool. I don't have anything to save. And now I'm back into the executive summary area. So now I can go to my main application. And again, I can select the tab here, or I can go back into my app list and I can do it from this linear option here as well. So now I'm going to go into my main application, and this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. This is why it would be beneficial to potentially print off the full PDF of the Notice of Funding Opportunity, because these questions are going to be highlighted in Appendix A, I believe. So that way you can start drafting your answers potentially, and then you can just cut and copy and drop them into here. Again, if I'm ready to add information into this area, then I'm going to select Edit Form, and it's going to open up these large text boxes. Again, you can see 15,000 characters in this section, and as I scroll further, each section is going to be highlighted with a different character count. When you're responding to these questions, make sure you are addressing the question that it is asking, as well as reviewing that information that's listed in Appendix A. There are bullet points in each of these sections that we would like you to respond to. So be sure that you are addressing each of those bullet points, because as Ashley already shown the scoring rubric, those are going to be how we score the application. Okay. So again, you can see that this main application is going to be where you spend the majority of your time. It talks everything from recruitment efforts for apprentices, recruitment efforts for mentors, potential barriers that you might be that you might want to address. It's going to ask for the number of anticipated apprentices in each of the pathways. Again, if you're not doing one of the pathways, just keep this as 0. There is no limit on this, so if you can get 100 apprentices, put in 100. That's great. But we do want you to be realistic with this number. We know that this is a condensed time frame for completion, so be sure that you list the number that you do feel that you would be able to enroll and get completed in this program. Again, then it goes through some of the RA specific information. So on the job competency plan, the RTI tracking completion, and then who is going to be involved. So the staff roles and responsibilities. Ashley, I don't know if I may have missed this, but we have had some school districts under TPRA 1.0 that had a separate program manager that separate from the financial manager. So you have one person kind of managing the apprentice side of the house, and then one person managing the financial side. Um, some school districts have that financial person as the superintendent. Some of them has been the principal. Some of them has been an educator in the building. Some has been somebody in the finance office. So it really is whatever works best in your district. But we have seen success when those two roles are separate. Again, it's what is your district able to do, and how your district can be successful though. Again, once I'm done, I just select Save Form, and then that's going to take me back to the main sections. And then the last section to highlight is the application attachments. This is where you would attach those two required documents, like I mentioned, the budget form attachment, the Excel document that we saw at the beginning, as well as the W-9. There are areas for you to attach additional information. So there's other attachment sections. There's a letter of commitment, recommendation, or partnerships. This could be somewhere that if you have a MOU agreement already, or if you have a letter of support between your districts and you're forming a consortium, this is where you would add those letters. If you do have those multiple letters, please make sure you save them as one PDF, and then upload them as one document versus multiple documents. Again, I can mark as complete if I'm completed in this section. And then if I want to just go back to my app list, this will tell me what sections I've completed. Each time I hit that mark as complete, there will be that green check mark that appears. Again, the main thing, pay attention to this application due date. December 2nd will be here very quickly. Be sure that you're paying attention to the time. If you're like me, I tend to wait. And so I would be the person that at 1 o'clock would be like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I submit that application. Just be aware of that 2 p.m. time frame as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ashley.
Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we're going to take this webinar recording. We're going to compile our question and answers, and then also post the slideshow to the TPRA webpage. In the slideshow here are some helpful links. So links to iowagrants.gov, sam.gov, and just some resources, including our IWD webpage, our Iowa Office of Apprenticeship webpage, if you would like some more information about other opportunities, and then also some funding sources if you want to take a gander at some CFR. As you take all of this information back and you're discussing it with your school districts or any of your partnering districts, if you have any questions, if they come up, please reach out to us. We've been answering questions from our previous webinar. So again, we're just trying to make sure that applicants have all the information they need as they complete their grant application. So thank you for your time today. I will go ahead and give you all, I guess, 5 minutes of your of your days back, but 5 minutes is still good. Again, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to us and look for that information. We'll get that posted to the website.